Hey everyone, it's Austin Solomon, the Solomon Group at Coldwell Banker. Thank you for joining us on this week's episode of the Real Wausau Real Estate Show. Hey Austin, what's the market like? This is a common question that I commonly get, and right now it is fall. We're mid-October, and what have we seen in the last few months? Right now, looking back, it's kind of interesting to see now that we're in the fall. Looking back, June, July, May, June were probably the hottest months of the year as a seller and as a buyer. Hottest meaning like the most activity. There weren't as many homes out in the market, and there was the most buyers out there. So it made for multiple offer situations, really fast-paced market where you had to get into homes right away. Bid is put your very best foot forward right away. Sellers could be very could expect to sell their home like in a day. What's happening now? Right now that it's kind of slowed down a little bit in our market. This is more of a seasonal kind of normal year where you have some seasonal ups and seasonal downs. In the spring, you kind of have things pick up. In the summer, here we had May, June, were the kind of the peak months. After July 4th, we saw a little bit of a slowdown, trying to drop down a notch, and then I would say it's dropped down another notch or two right now. What do I mean by this? Maybe a property that's listed on the market, a nice home that would have gotten 10 showings and 2 offers in May or June. Perhaps maybe now it's on the market for 3 days, 4 days, and it gets 1 offer. That's a kind of a common theme that we're seeing, and maybe it had 5 showings now in the first few days versus 10 in the first few days back in those peak months, right? What does this mean as a buyer and a seller? As a buyer, if you were successful in buying a house, congratulations in the previous months. If you weren't, and maybe you're taking a break, now may not be a bad time as things are slowing down and the pace is much more manageable to get back into the market. Now, again, there are certain scenarios when there are multiple offers. It's still competitive out there, but it's just not quite as competitive as it was back then. So that might be an encouragement to get back into the market and to find the right house. As a seller, if you're putting your house on the market now, just know that, hey, you've heard a lot of amazing stories and successful stories. You always hear them out and about how this person sold this house in this amount of time for this much over, right? Those things are still happening, but not as frequently as they used to be happening. So you want to make sure you price your house accordingly to the market conditions in the current time. So just kind of giving you guys a quick market update on where things are at here in the fall. It'll be interesting to see how things pan out. Another thing too, a lot of people ask me, Austin, what is your predictions for the future? Again, I don't know. No one has a crystal ball, right? I've looked at a lot of reports, and I've kept up on a lot of resources that are pretty reliable, and a lot of what they're saying is that the market's going to continue to be good for the next few years. We may not see quite as rapid of appreciation. Like next year, like this year, the prices have really gone up since the first of the year to now, right? Next year, the prices may go up, not at like astounding rates, maybe just in more normal, like 2 to 3% appreciation versus, 5 to 10, sometimes 15% we had this year in some instances, right? So the market may not be as hot next year, meaning there may not be as many multiple offers. It might be more balanced. Buyers may actually have an opportunity to go for a second showing, right, and think about their decision. However, prices, I would anticipate, aren't going to change that much next year. I don't necessarily think that the market's gonna tank in the next year. That's just my opinion, and based on what these reports are saying. So kind of a common question there. Now you have Austin's 2 cents. Thanks for joining us on this week's episode of The Real. Looking forward to what's coming ahead.